Colorado landscape artist David Harms presented to 100 members of our art community last Tuesday. Departing from the conventions of a traditional artist talk, his presentation was informal, unscripted, and highly engaging. Harms humbly acknowledged the artists and gallerists who have influenced his work, crediting them for the success he has enjoyed. His confident delivery, shaped in part by a background in acting, animated a discussion of his broader creative life, including experiences in music and theater. The landscape paintings he presented demonstrated strong compositional control. Both studio and plein air paintings showed clear structural design, effective use of diagonals, and dynamic spatial relationships that guide the viewer's eye.
Amy tells me that we're just about ready to send out invitations, so watch for those. And I am going to turn the mic over.
You sure you want to do this?
Well,
I've warned you.
so that's why everybody's here.
Oh, mercy.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. It's an incredible honor, and I'm thrilled to be here. I am just grateful to Patty for asking me, Hugh for all this stuff, doing all this business. It's so flattering, and again, I'm honored. Congratulations. That's Darcy Pete, everybody. She's the real deal. For a long time, the real deal. I just as a counterpoint, which I think this is critical information for you guys. I entered the very same show, and I'll never forget recently that, and they were so gracious. They said, Dave, why don't you sell your gear and go home? But I took it in good humor, like, oh, okay. So this is it. I have no more paintings. I sold my, I'm just kidding. It's not, I'm just joking. It was worse. And your mother, take her with you. Carol Swinney, she was running the show for the Rocky Mountain Plein Air Painters back when I joined, and I've adored her and looked up to her ever since. So again, thank you all for being here. This is a big thrill for me. You guys want to hear an interesting story? My mom in college had a best friend, and her name was Carol, and they were sorority sisters, University of Tulsa back in the late 40s. Carol and Mom were best friends, but as the 50s approached, as friends are wont to do at that age, they found their guys. They ended up getting married. Carol married Dick and moved to Southern California and had 5 kids. My mom married my dad, and we lived in Wichita, Kansas, with 4 kids. And so the story goes back in the late 60s to around 1970 that Carol had come to our house in Wichita in the mid-60s. We were little kids to meet my mom's best friend from college. Okay, great. So she came, we had a great time. She met my dad, I think, for the first time. And so the idea is that by 1970 or 71, there would be an adult couples getaway. Just the couples getting away from those kids. There's 5 over here, 4 over here. Adorable, of course, thanks. But still, these 4 little kids. We got to have the adults get together. And so the idea was Carol and Dick would come from California, my mom and dad would come from Kansas, and they would meet somewhere in Colorado halfway. What a deal. My dad dies. I love that kind of sympathy. I was only 11 and my dad died. You guys go, oh my God. Well, what really ruined it is that the adult getaway didn't happen. But something greater did. Mom and Carol said, what if we just got all the families and met at a guest ranch somewhere in Colorado and had so all the kids could meet. We could have hiking and fishing and all that kind of stuff. You know, like, yeah, sure. You know, we'd seen pictures of Carol and her family. Let me give you a little bit of reference on how they were, where they lived. They lived at the end of a street in Pacific Palisades in a big 2-story at the end of the street that looked out over the ocean. Their neighbor at one time had been Bob Denver Gilligan of Gilligan's Island. That was their neighbors. We came from a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, all brick little ranch post-World War II house in South Wichita. Exciting, powerful. Well, anyway, sadly, their house where they had lived at that time, it burned to the ground a year ago in the Palisades. So anyway, that was how they were raised, and so we met them, and it was great. There was a gal, the oldest daughter of the other family, she at the time was 16. Beautiful, long hair, tan, warm, funny, beautiful.
David.
And I just went, Mom. Then the next gal that we met was the next younger daughter from that family. Beautiful, tan, long hair, perfect Southern California beach girls on the cutting edge of what we weren't going to ever have in Wichita. Well, what happened was we met at this guest ranch over the next 4 summers for a couple of weeks at a time. They would come from LA, we'd come from Kansas. And by the mid-70s, 50 years ago this year, Carol had gotten divorced and they didn't really want to live out there anymore. And my mom and Carol, with kids that are now teenagers, asked, what if we just, instead of meeting at the guest ranch like we've done the last 4 years, what if we all uprooted our families, found a house in Colorado, and combined families? And that's exactly what we did 50 years ago. And those 2 girls I just mentioned are sitting right there. My sister, Christy and Jenny. My oldest daughter, Christy Page, was named after Christy. I was going to name her after Jenny, but Jenny said, not on your life. I don't want to, don't do that to me. I said, fine. So anyway, the point is I'm here tonight, and at 65 years old, I can't believe I'm living this full of a life in every respect. And you kind of think to yourself, what exactly does that mean, living a full life? Is it my version of the American dream, let's say? Is it being surrounded and doing things that bring out the best in me? You know, you want to marry or have friends that bring out the best in you, or have your job that you're able to maximize brings out the best in you? Or is it people that I've, through my whole life, people that are deceased, my parents are gone, their parents are gone, and what does it mean for me personally? And it's simply, after all these years, it all boils down to, I just want to make the folks proud. It seems really simple, but to have Christy and Jenny here with me tonight is a big deal. And I love all of you. I love this place. And I love everything that I do, but at the end of the day, I just want to make the folks proud. My daughters, and I have 2 daughters, and my wife. And it's so funny. I've been a rock drummer for 46 years, since I was 19. And even the other night when I went to go play a gig in Denver, I always these days I'll before we start, I'll take a few photos of my drum set, the stage lights or whatever's going on, and there's a group text that's just family on my phone, and I'll take a few photos and send them and throw them out to the family. And my wife invariably, if she's not at the show, and she was watching me play since 1981, she'll say something like, "Dave, have a great night. Don't embarrass the family." Yeah, hon, I can embarrass the family like tonight. So it's a hoot to try to make the folks proud. I do a lot of plein air painting, and these smaller ones are all done on location. I was painting. I've got a gallery up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, the Wild Horse Gallery, and I was up there a couple of years ago painting just off the side of the road up Elk River Road. And it was later in the afternoon, and just off the side of the road in this family van SUV I could see pulled up next to the side of the road. And you kind of look when there's cars around, and I'm painting, I kind of stop, and the mother comes, you can tell she's a mom, and there's a little kid in the back, and the mom comes down, and she says, "Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, are you one of those painter people?" And I guess, yeah, I don't know, what am I doing? You tell me. So I said, yeah. She goes, my daughter wants to be an artist. Could you maybe come up and say hello? Come up and talk to her? I'm going, sure. So I just put my stuff down, saddle up to the back seat. She's, sitting in the back, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid. Roll down the window, and I go, "Hey, kid." She's like, "Yeah, mister," or whatever she said. And I said, what, you want to be an artist or something, your mom was saying. "Oh, yeah." I said, "So like what?" "Oh, I like to draw, and I like to this." And I said, "Yeah, that's great. That's," and we were, kicking some things around. But I impressed upon her in short order. I said, "Listen, I got bad news for you, kid." And it's good that you're going to get to know what I'm about to tell you right now. I said, "Kid," and she's like, "Go on." And the mom's like, "Oh God, what have I done?" I said, "Kid, look, here's the fact of the matter. You're either an artist or you're not. What are you?" Okay. Are you or you're not? You don't become one. You don't become. I said, you decide once you kind of figured out who you are, then you decide how you want to go about it or not, or to what, this way, that way. I want to paint, I want to draw, I want to act, I want to play, whatever it is, but you got to know right now, what are you? You don't want to be. And I'll tell you why in a second. I said, "So what are you?" She goes, "I'm an artist." I go, "Great, go get them. You guys have a nice time." And they drove off. Now, the reason I know this is because the elements of my life right this minute are identical, almost, certainly not in the same scale, but identical to when I was 10. Validated when I was 15, and now I'm 65. When I was 10, I was in the children's theater play in Wichita. My dad brought home a little 3-piece blue sparkle drum set. I was drawing, completely inspired by a buddy of mine whose older brother was a great Western artist as a teenager. I'm 10 and this kid's 15 or whatever. I played sports and I hung out with the family. That's all I do now. And so by the time, and it's just ridiculous. For me, it wasn't that I knew I was a good artist. I knew that all I needed was, and it's still important even now, validation. Not so much rewards of getting juried into big shows, which is stunning, or selling pictures, which is great. There's a validation that not following temptation, but validation, and that you're on the right road, whatever that means. And things shift as you go along. As you get older, some things are more predominant than others. But for instance, and this, this made you guys, this is a word that kills me. But to me, it kind of falls into the temptation category. I've been more inclined than tempted. But when someone says, it's my passion, it's like, do you know what that means? Do you know the temptation of following your passions? And because it's my passion, don't you see I've been called to do this stuff? I can't fail. I can't. Do you see? I quit college to follow my passion and all this kind of stuff, and it's not panning out. And so I'm going to make compromises, perhaps. That's passion's great. The joy of painting. That's neat. I'm passionate. It's just, I was called. Uh-huh. What if people think you can't sing a lick? You've seen all the voice shows. Oh, I love to sing. It's my passion. It's like, God, oh, geez. How do we tell this person that has passion and it's their calling that they're never going to go anywhere? Or what they think is going somewhere? The point of all this is that if you're going to be an artist, let's say, getting validated is really critical. And when I was a littler kid, and my folks for Christmas morning had bought me the little toy drum set with the paper heads on it. And this is a classic rock drummer story. I think they all have this same story because it's kind of neat to be one of them in this respect, that I've got the little toy drum set with the paper heads, the little tin cymbals, and the little bass drum pedal. And to look at the photos of the old days of my dad, who is still alive, in his robe on Christmas morning behind this little set is just a glorious thing. However, by noon, I'd bashed in all the drum heads. Before we even ate, I'd caved in everything, and I could see my mom and dad just sitting there going, oh, God, now what do we do? So I was a big Civil War buff as a little kid, and I remember one instance in particular. I did a little freehand drawing on a piece of paper of General Longstreet. He was one of General Lee's generals, and there's photos of all these guys in my Civil War books. And I did a freehand drawing of General Longstreet, just the portrait with him in his uniform and stuff. And I showed it to my dad, and he looked at it and he goes, yeah, this is really good, but if you're going to trace the picture, let me show you how you need to trace. And I go, Dad, I didn't trace it. He's like, oh, God. It's like, oh, now what do we do? A point of validation. A buddy of mine that I grew up with in Wichita was the most unlikely guy to be the most creative person I've ever known in my life. He was the big, bully-looking guy in the neighborhood. He was the guy, even at 10 years old, he was a bull in a china shop. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Harms, clang, 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 He was big, he was imposing, and when you're a little kid and this big guy is like that, of course, he played football and all that kind of stuff. Well, one day when we were I don't know, not very old. I'd started playing the drums. My dad got this blue Sparkle drum set. I wasn't getting very good. I couldn't get the hang of the Beatles songs and Led Zeppelin, Alice Cooper. I was like, what's going on? My buddy Mike, who was his name, he's like, one day, hey, Dave, I got a drum set too. I'm like, what? It's great. So, come over and we'll play drums together. Like that. He was wailing away on it. I'm like, this will never do. This guy's not going to be better than me. And I watched him play, and I'm left-handed, but right-footed. So I set up normal, not that you guys drummers know what's going on, but there's a way you set up to accommodate the hand you lead with. And I led with my left hand, but I set up in a kind of a right-handed configuration. So what I needed to do with my right hand wasn't natural to me as with my left hand, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, Mike was playing in this way that was open-handed to where he was leading with his left hand. And when I saw him before my very eyes, I went, and I started, and now it just like exploded. It's like, my feet, great, rolling around, no problem. I needed to lead with my left hand, and how do you go about doing that? But there was that seed was planted. This will never do with this buddy of mine. He goes, well, listen, I'm going to get a guitar and I'm going to learn how to play, and I'll write songs and we'll play songs and we'll have a little band. And I'm going, sure. David, come over. I got a little guitar and an amp at the pawn shop for $40. I'm going over there. He's playing this thing. He's playing Alice Cooper songs and, all these songs just for no reason. He didn't have a teacher. He didn't have a book. And he's just kind of figuring things out completely by ear. And you know what I said? This will never do. This guy, my John Lennon to Paul McCartney to Keith Richards to Mick Jagger, guys that were kids together that are scaling the heights of whatever it is. They're just little kids in the front room playing music, but there's this will never do. This guy's not going to write songs, and I'm not. So I started playing guitar and writing songs. And the point of this story is when we got older, when we moved to Colorado, and he was left back in the neighborhood, he and I would send cassette tapes back to each other of songs we'd written. And I've got a shoebox full of them, of the songs. And the poems he wrote, the songs he wrote for no reason. He didn't study. To me, of all the guys I've known and gals, he's the most creative guy to this day I know. And he died obese and at 49 in 2009. What had happened was I was when it was time to step on the gas when I was in college to get in rock bands, and an agent came to see us play at this legendary club called Tulagi in Boulder. We were playing an FAC up in Boulder at CU. I was willing to go out on the road and play biker bars. My buddy, the most creative guy I'd ever known, he wasn't leaving the couch. He's like, nope, I'm not leaving town. I'm not gonna. And for all the guy, and I'm chasing this guy. I'm always trying to keep up with this guy. Still am. Isn't that bizarre? My dad, I still want to make proud. My mom, Mike, I still want to listen. I wrote a song. I still am chasing these people. I was with a painter named Matt Smith yesterday up in Scottsdale. I'm at the guys. I'm on the floor with this guy, just worshiping him to an extent, figuratively. I'm going, you're the man. He's like, are you kidding me? I said, do you know how much fun it's for me to try to chase you? It's ridiculous. People say, Dave, what do you do for a living? I live in the wake of other people. I live in their wake. I wallow, drowning in the water that's. It's preposterous. No. It's living a full life. And I'm getting it handed to me. And I'm having some success and validation by people that I treasure and that I still look up to and that have encouraged me. And so it's really interesting to, and we'll go through some of this stuff if it's possible here. There's some stuff. I want you to look at this painting just for a second. Oh, one last anecdote. Forgive me. This is a bone-crushing anecdote for me from my buddy Mike, probably a year before he died. He and I were having dinner together, and he was earlier, before we went out to eat, he was living in the basement of his brother, and he had pulled up my website on his TV that he had on, that was sitting on milk crates or something. And I had just earlier that day gone with him to in Wichita to the music store to buy a drum set, because he said to me, Dave, I'm going to get back into shape, and you remember when we were kids and we would just drum all day and there'd be pools of sweat under our chairs, and he goes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get back into shape. I'm going to drum. Never did. And he was looking at my paintings on my website, and he just couldn't believe it. He just is, to illustrate. He goes, we were kids like this. I'll never forget this. He goes, you started out like this, and you've played music, and you've been in theater, and you've been on movie sets, and you've done paintings, and God, they're beautiful. And your life has just opened up. And God, man, thanks, that's great. And he goes, and my life has been just like this. And this is the man. This is my guy. He knew it was over. He knew it. And it was bone crushing. So to have that kind of validation from a guy like that, what am I going to do? You're darn right. I'm going to make the folks proud. I'm going to do to the best that I can to do this stuff to make dead people that influenced me proud of what I'm still trying to do. You're going to go, that's ridiculous. It's not for me. This is a big deal that these guys are here. They've known me forever, since we were little kids. So for them to think enough to come with me to this is a big, big deal. This painting is very interesting, and we'll get back to it in 1 second. This is the last play I did in Denver. It's interesting, as an actor, you don't get to work your craft unless you get cast. So it's one thing to be an actor. It was a very interesting play. It was a two-night, 6-hour epic kind of deal. But this is just kind of the theater that I do. Like I said, I'm still rocking and rolling. This kind of showcases a theater we played at. This photo's a few years old, but we played the same theater 3 weeks ago. So I'm still rocking and rolling. The one on the lower right is I was 18, and that was on the house that we had on Fairway in the basement down there. And then I got a bigger drum set, and the other one is from probably 1981, and then a more recent one. So, you want to keep developing the craft. There's my wife from 1982. We had just met a year before. My family up above and my daughters down below. It's critical for me to acknowledge my wife and my daughters. I've known plenty of artists who had spouses that couldn't give a rip if they painted pictures or did anything like that. And you can tell it, you can just look in their eyes, and it's just, for some God-given, blessed reason, have daughters and a wife that have done nothing but support me and love me. And that's my 3 grandsons with my daughters. And this was just around Halloween. It was interesting because, like I said, by 1975, I was in the 8th grade play. I was playing drums with Mike. I got an oil painting set from my mom. And I remember I snuck home from school one day to paint a little still life on our kitchen table. And my mom had to go to work because my dad had died. And she came home, and I'd cut school, and I'm painting this little picture. And she didn't get mad. It was really, really nice. But the picture in the painting in the right upper left-hand corner is my mom had gone to see Carol and the family out in the Palisades in the mid-'70s, had taken that photo. That's a church that has long burned down that was up there. But it's from 1976, probably one of the first paintings I'd ever done. And but it's one of those things. I had gotten into rock bands. I wanted to be a drummer. Had a chance to go on the road and play all through the 80s and kind of pursue that in particular. By the time I got married, I started taking some acting workshops in Denver. Got an agent right away for on-camera stuff, commercials, and that sort of thing. But by the mid to late 90s, it was one of those things where my mom had said to me, so Dave, what do you want for Christmas this year? Geez, a new car would be great. Well, how about we go a little more modest than that? Okay, fine, Mom. I want an oil painting set. Again, remember you got me She's like, oh, we'll see about that. Sure enough, Christmas, the Bob Ross oil painting set. There he is, all fuzzy, painting his happy trees and his fuzzy head. And the VHS thing, people don't know, Bob Ross isn't an original. I was watching in Wichita on PBS a guy named Bill Alexander, which was the forerunner to same thing. It's really interesting. I was talking to Matt about this yesterday. So anyways, I get the oil painting set, and I'm just inclined. Do you have any grand ambition? I still don't. How's that for you? I'm dedicated. I'm passionate. It's my calling. So what's the big gig? I don't know. I got nothing. I have no grand vision. I have no plan. I don't know who to impress. I really don't know what to paint. I don't want to. And this comes up at my age as an artist. So what's your legacy going to be? Matt was talking to me about this yesterday, unprovoked by yours truly, when he was talking about another artist that was talking about he's now painting for his legacy. And the two of us almost threw up in our mouths. What does that mean? Really? You're painting for, because he and I are just forward thinking. We're going down the road. We're going down the road. So I'm not painting for a legacy. I'm not painting to leave anything for my kids to sell off when I'm dead. There's a running joke. It's kind of interesting. I'll never forget when my daughters were in college. My youngest, Court, she got a volleyball scholarship. She was a good athlete, and Christy was a volleyball player too. But when we kind of had to pay for her college, it was one of those things where, how are we do we want to get and of course now it's, boy, if you've got big, giant student loans, you're way underwater. But back 10, 15 years ago, how are we going to pay for this? I think one of my daughters looked at my wife and said, let's throw him under the bus. Let's kill him off and sell his pictures. They're worth more now. And I said, well, let me get my shoes. Whatever for the family. Family man. Love my girls. I think that's a stretch, though. But who am I? So anyway, I really don't. I paint for myself only. I do what I want. I try to get what I want with what I've got. And when I got the oil painting set, I was inclined, not knowing what I wanted to paint. I just wanted to paint to see what would happen. I would do paintings while my youngest daughter was taking naps. I was a realtor at the time. I was an actor, I was a musician, and now I started painting pictures, which is to say, so what do you do for a living? I revel in discomfort and uncertainty, but a lot of love, right? Yeah, they're liars. No one likes a liar. Anyway, so what am I going to paint? So I clipped out pictures in magazines, from crystal figurines to ads to a guy and his dog was from a photo. The jeans from a jean ad. Just whatever. But I used to take my paint, and I had, oh, this will kill you. My wife loved Thomas Kincaid pictures. I was going to be the painter of light, the light spilling onto the lawns and stuff. That still life up there, that little vase was in our family, that brass was in our family forever, along with the fabric. And I thought, I'll give that a whirl. So these paintings are like right away, early on. But what happened was, as a realtor at the time, I would take these paintings to my closings. And in Colorado, you did all the paperwork signing in one shot. And you'd have the big conference table, you'd have the buying agent and the buyers on one side, you had the seller and the sellers on the other side, you had the lender at one end and the title company rep at the end, passing around documents that everybody signs. And it's all, they hand the check over, it's all done right there. They hand over the keys. Congratulations, you're going to love it. There's cracks in the foundation in the basement, but don't worry about it. You'll love it. So I would take these paintings and I'd put them up around the conference room there. And I'll be darned, people are like, gee whiz, Dave. Geez, we love our dogs. Our dogs are like our children. You hear that? Our dogs are our children. Can you paint if we gave you a photo, could you paint Sure. How much? $100. Great. And so I'm doing these pictures. I'm getting $100. The last time I got any money was I did a watercolor in 9th grade at East High School in Wichita, Kansas. I did a little picture of Alice Cooper, and the kid gave me $25 and a world's famous chocolate bar. Because you remember when you were a kid, you'd have boxes of these and you'd sell them at school for whatever. So I got a bar and I'm living. So these people that asking me, hey, Dave, will you paint our dogs? You know what? It's my husband's birthday's coming up, and we used to own a Victorian house up in Leadville. If I gave you the address, could you go up and do a painting of our old house like that I could give to him? Yeah, you darn tootin'. So I was doing that kind of stuff, okay? Not, Frederick Remington and Norman Rockwell were my favorite painters back when I was a kid, and I didn't know why. Doesn't know why. They just were. I loved looking at their pictures. When I was 4 years old and heard a Beatles song for the first time, I wanted to be Ringo. I loved the Beatles above all things, still do. Don't know why. So it's like I just was inclined, and so for no reason, I'm doing this kind of stuff, not thinking I would ever have any real effect on anybody. So I'm doing these pictures, and down the street from where my real estate office was, I'm walking down Main Street, and right there in the front shop window of a shop, like you have on the old main streets of the old towns that had gotten swallowed up in the metropolis, but they still have the old Main Street. Well, right there, I'm walking down the street, and I look in this big picture window in the front, right there on the sidewalk, was this landscape painting. I couldn't stop looking at it. I mean, I literally could not stop. I was frozen. And I looked in the window, and there was an easel with paints and brushes. And I looked kind of back a little bit, and there's all kind of art stuff, frames and stuff. And I couldn't stop looking at this landscape picture in the window. I looked down to Michael J. Lynch Studios. I don't know who that is. By appointment only. Great. Go out to the car, grab from 1999 the old phone. Hello? Yeah, is it Mr. Lynch? Yeah. Listen, my name's David Harms, and I'd love to talk to you about fine art. Huh? I go, he's like, where are you? I said, I'm outside your front door. Well, okay, I'll be there in a minute. So, in short order, Michael Lynch, David Harms here. Listen, I don't know what you got going on here, but I can't stop looking at your picture. I'd love to talk to you about. And he's like, Dave, come on. And he's the man. He's the man to guys like Matt Smith and Bill Anton and a whole host of other guys that I think are the men. This guy, along with like the Clyde Aspavigs of the world, he's the man. He was just a guy but I couldn't stop listening to his songs or looking at his paintings or whatever I was into. So he goes, look, Dave, listen, I'm really busy. I've got 10 minutes. I go, great. 10 minutes, I'll take it. Come on in. And so I was with him for over 2 hours. Validation. Somehow he knew that this guy's into this, and I'm going to give him the goods. The colors on my palette. Oh, I'll get back to that in a minute. That's the original sheet of colors he wrote out for me in 1999 that I keep next to me in his handwriting. I only use those colors. I don't use sap green. I'm not a sap green guy or a cad red light guy very much. But other than that, those, 8, 9 colors along with Permalba white, which is what he was using. Permalba white and Utrecht paint. I go, great. That's what I still paint with after all these years. That's what I painted with today. I'm a follower. Whatever you got going, man. He showed me how to mount my own canvas on panels. He told me about what brushes to use, what paints to use. I needed to go out and paint. I needed to go outside. And you can imagine It was a very healthy, robust 2 hours that set the table for right now, today, which I'm really grateful for, that 2 hours. What had happened about a week later, he gave me an 8x10 white panel and just said, "Here, Dave, just do something on this. Just paint something." I went, "Okay." So I cut out that, I took that waterfall painting. That's on the panel he gave me, that waterfall painting. And you think, well, that's kind of neat, Dave. So what? Here's what's so what. A week later, I'm doing a real estate stuff. Back in those days, VA and HUD foreclosures, us realtors had keys to get into these lock boxes to go into these vacant houses any time of the day or night. Near where we live, as a realtor, I was in one of these houses, and these two guys walk up. I put on my realtor game face, ask them key question. "Hey, what brings you fellas around? I'm a realtor. This isn't my listing, but if you're interested, what you do." And one of the guys said, I was kind of asking him the qualifying questions about stuff. And he said, "Well, I asked him about some financial things. Well, all that stuff my wife takes care of. Here's her number, call her." I'm like, "Great." So we have our thing, want to follow up with him, but I'm going to follow up with the wife. As you do, you go down the road. So I called this gal up. Her name was Karen. And I go, "Karen, my name's David Harms. I ran into your husband, and apparently it looks like you guys are looking for blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "Yeah, now's a good time. I'm in the fine art world and stuff like that." I go, "Whoa, wait, what do you mean? Wait, the real estate stuff, goodbye. What do you mean you're in the fine art business?" She goes, "Well, I had a couple of oil painting organizations, and so I promote artists into magazines and other things, and so I work out of my home." And I go, "Would you? I'm an oil painter. Would you look at my paintings for critique?" And the organizations one of them was the Plein Air Painters of America, Matt Smith and those guys. And she's she is heading the organization. She's 5 minutes up the street from my house. "Can I come over and bring you some paintings, and could you critique them?" She's like, "Look, I'm really busy, and only if you can take frank criticism. I don't have time to monkey around." She's very direct. "If you're going to be an artist, you want to monkey around? Do you want to have it handed to you? As a drummer, as an actor, as anything that's your passion, can you handle it?" My buddy on the couch was a brilliant guy. "Nope." And I went, "Absolutely. I'll be over." And so I took all those paintings that you saw, plus a bunch of others, shoved them in a Jocelyn's bag when Jocelyn's was still around. Mark drove up to her house 5 minutes from me. She comes to the door and she says, "Look, I'll do this only if you can take frank criticism, pal." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Bring the heat. I'm an old guy. And by this time, I'm almost 40. So I started this painting stuff for real. These other guys have been doing it 35, 40, 50 years. I said, "Absolutely." She goes, "I have 10 minutes. I was with her for over 2 hours. I took those paintings of the dog, of the Thomas Kincaid knockoffs, which my wife loved those back in the day. Who doesn't? God love him. She's like, "Okay, come on, Dave, bring him, let's see." Like, here it comes. She sits down, I lean him up in her living room. I have that little painting, I'd just done it. That little Michael Lynchian knockoff. And I set it over there and all my other, and you could tell she's just looking at this stuff and she's going, So David, which one of these is your favorite painting? And I go, God, I've had some good success with that Thomas Kincaid light stuff. Gal, I think she paid $200 for that painting from the real estate closing thing and stuff. And she's like, that's crap. It's garbage. She goes, all of this is absolute garbage. And I went, just don't say anything bad about my mama. Yeah, and your mama wears army boots, or whatever. She didn't go that far. She goes, this is crap. I do have one question for you there, Dave. I go, great. Why that painting? She looked at it right over there. It was kind of separate from all the others because these were the real ones and that, Why that one? I said, well, a week ago I was with this guy, I don't know, his name's Michael Lynch, and she's like, what? I go, yeah, I stumbled upon Michael J. Lynch and all this, and he told me and that and this and that and the other. I gave her the story that I just told you in more condensed form because we only had 10 minutes. She goes, are you kidding me? The Michael Lynch? I go, I don't know. How many of them are there? Yeah, I guess. The guy that lives here. He's the man. Oh, my God. Are you kidding? That is, look, Dave, cut the crap. There's your future. That's all landscaping. That's what you need to do. That's it. Call this guy. Tell him you'll clean his toilets. You'll wash his car. You'll do his dishes. He's the man. You got to hang around this guy. And I go, fine. So I grabbed the phone. I still had his number. Hi, this is Michael Lynch Studios. Please leave a message after the beep, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Beep. Mr. Lynch, David Harms here. I was with you a week ago. Love you. Apparently, you're the man. Swear to God. You are the man, and I need to not grovel necessarily, but I need to make myself useful to you because I need to hang around. I'm willing to do your dishes. I'll wash your car. I'll clean your toilets and whatever else is needed for me to hang around you. He called me back probably half hour later. What? Are you kidding me? I go, no, you're the man. I gotta. So because of that was that. And this gal who it was the head of the Plein Air Painters of America said, Dave, you're really into this. She goes, I want to see everything you're painting and she got me in for free to be an assistant at some of these Plein Air Painter of America workshops. There was a 3-4 day workshop in Fallbrook, California. There was week-long workshops in Bennington, Vermont that year. Hung out with Richard Schmidt. There's a story of me with Richard Schmidt. And I'm running out of gas, apparently. So I'll try to wrap this up, just trying to set the table to how it kind of worked for me with this kind of stuff. So in short order, I was able to watch these guys paint, and it was really powerful. Their approach, what they used, why and how they used it, and I wanted to learn everything and apply it. Michael Lynch had battered me with a handful of names of guys I'd never heard of that I revere to this day. Have you heard of Frank Tenney Johnson, Maynard Dixon, William Wendt, Edgar Payne? I'm going, I know Frederick Remington and Norman Rockwell. That's great. Look, you study these guys. So I studied them religiously. This painting right here, I'd never, right around the summer before 9/11, there was an art show in Jackson, Wyoming called Arts for the Parks. I never heard of it. I saw the ad for it out of the Artist magazine or something like that. Send in slides for this show, $50,000 first prize. Okay. So I take a slide, ship it off in short order. Congratulations, Dave. You're in the top 200 of this show with that painting. You need to frame it and ship it to us. So we'll see if it makes the top 100. If it's in the top 100, then you get to be at the show for the whole thing when we announce the winner, and you could win $50,000. I'm like, this is insane. I don't even, what? Shipped it off to him. I went to a bin gallery in Denver to get it framed. They had a framer there, and I had that painting under my arm. And the gal that ran the gallery just looked at me and she goes, so what's under your arm there, man? I said, oh, this is a painting I needed framed. I got into this show, Arts for the Parks. She's like, what? Huh? Let me see that. Apparently it was a big deal. They asked me, they were one of the first galleries to represent me. I shipped the painting off. And right after the week of 9/11, that weekend after 9/11, which happened on Tuesday, was the opening of Arts for the Parks that we went to. So you're thinking you're getting validated. It's like, okay, I'm on the right track. This is really kind of interesting. I had gone to, before that, one last thing, and I want to do a quick story of how I got into my gallery in Steamboat. And then I'll cut you guys loose with anything else you want to know. The first workshop in Fallbrook, California, before I needed to leave to the airport, because the gal said, if you can be an assistant to all the instructors and the students, and you can paint. Go and paint if you want. I got my French easel delivered. I threw it in a bag, drove to the airport. So I was helping a gal in her 20 students out in the field. She did her demo, they had lunch, and then all the other students are free to go out and paint, and the instructor goes around and gives them pointers. Oh, I think you're doing the right thing there. Oh, what are you doing? However it works. So I finally pull out my stuff for the first time. That painting at the top is my very first plein air picture. And I noticed after everyone was cut loose that all the students are setting up to the scene that's going this way. And there they all are. They're kind of, and I'm going, that painting was from the opposite direction, okay? Every time to kind of wrap up the day, collect the paintings, do a quick review, and all that debriefing, let's say. I put my painting and everything just back in my thing, and I'm just waiting if anyone needs help. And the instructor goes to all the students. She's like, I noticed everybody's painting this scene. The scene to paint was right there. And I just went, that's interesting. That kind of validates your inclinations or what you're kind of the road you think you're going down. So when I couldn't believe it, like, did you talk to my mind, lady? How did you know? She's like, why this? The scene was this way. So I go, well, great. That kind of, the point is I'm getting a platform and getting validation to where, as Michael Lynch told me in that 10-minute, 2-hour period, Dave, you know what? It's going to take you 1,000 paintings before you're any good. You mean like 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 100, 10, 20, 500, 10, 1,000 to be any good? Yeah. Daunting. And I went, let's get going. Let's go. Let's do it. Are you gonna, what do you want? Kid, in the car. You want to be an artist? What do you want to do? Are you sure? You'll find out as you get going down the road, but you got to know you're that before you even give it a whirl. Because stuff like this is gonna kill you if you Let it, Mike. You're the greatest, most talented artist I've ever known. And he's just shriveled up in his life. Do you want to live a full life? Absolutely. When I started trying to get into galleries back in the day, I didn't read the submission button at the bottom on the websites. Here's the rules of engagement, folks. You need to send in some slides, email us this, and then email us some more, and then we'll get back to you. And then maybe you can send us some. Then maybe you can bring us, maybe, and then there's this whole process. I said, I've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I knew the galleries I thought I wanted to be in. I loaded the car up with a handful of them, and I'd drive to the galleries. I went up to Steamboat one morning with a back seat full of paintings, just like this, just landscape paintings. And I knew they opened at 10. I knew I would, and folks at home, you may not want to go about this. I didn't know any better and didn't care because I had a long way to go and a short time to get there. I knew they were going to open. I knew the time they opened, there wasn't going to be a big line like Black Friday or something. They had nothing to do, but if I showed up with my pictures, hey, you got nothing to do, you want to look at my paintings? I'll bring them in from the car. I go up to Wild Horse Gallery, and the gal there was very, very nice. I said, hi, my name's David Harms. The car that's sitting right there is full of paintings. Can I show you some? No, I got to tell you, Dave, God love you, but we're full. As a matter of fact, we're getting rid of some artists because we're downsizing. It's, and so, but thanks for coming. I go, great. While the business of this whole thing is over, great. Whew. Don't have to worry about rejecting another artist for the 10th time this week. I go, well, while I'm here, can I at least bring a couple in for you to critique? Oh, yeah. That's all I want. Can I audition for your show? I just want to audition. I love to audition. People are scared to death. Oh, got to audition. Oh, what am I? I love it because I finally get to work. I finally get to get rejected, probably. Rejection was my business. All that stuff and being a realtor, too, was hysterical. Dave, what do you do? Rejection is my business. Let me give you my card. Why don't you go home? So anyway, the gal's like, sure. Bring a few in. Bring a couple in, lean them up on the floor, just like I had done. And the gal goes, oh my God, that's how you do that. I was painting all night, trying to, and then, oh, I see what you did. Oh, wow. Now just remember, they're downsizing. There's no chance I'm getting in the gal. Are you going to be in town? Are you staying? Oh, yeah. I've got my phone. I'll just be around. I'm calling the owners right now. Okay, thank you very much. Half hour later, the owners were in, and of course, my 3 paintings are still there. They want to see everything you've got. I go back. I've got now, I packed my car through 20 paintings. Oh, and the trunk was full of unframed ones, from plein air stuff to. So I walk in, how do you do? How do you do? How do you do? So Dave, I've never met these people. So what are you up to? I do, just like in the living room with my gal. Says, oh crap. Lean them all up everywhere. Oh, I've got some unframed one. Can I bring those in? Sure. And I'm taking paintings and I'm just dropping them on the floor in a pad, and I'm going, a gal walks in, complete stranger, walks in, just walks through the front door and goes, I'll take this one. I want that one. And I want this one. And Shirley up at the gallery looked at me and said, Dave, I guess you're in. That's it. I just want to be in, folks.
Question? Chuck? Anything? What a story. Oh my gosh, what a story.
I and there's a whole battery of photos, but look at the time, you guys. Time to go to the bar.
And your sisters, it's so
My
wonderful
sisters.
to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Mercy. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
We have a little gift for you. Is it off? Nope, still on.
Is it still on?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
for being
Man, that's great. Okay.
Lying here in your arms, a willing victim to your charms. It's here I belong, wrapped in a love so strong. There's a growing unease. My faith gets lost in the breeze.